Did you guys see that horrid story when the fascist state of New York murdered that innocent squirrel?
Dude, it was so
I heard
awful.
about it, but I'm not
Harambe's waiting in the wings for that squirrel. And it's not just a squirrel. There was also a raccoon, I believe.
Squirrel. Yeah,
Peanut,
and
right?
raccoon.
Was the squirrel's name?
Peanut was the name.
Why did the police murder a squirrel?
He didn't have the, I guess, correct licensing for this pet.
Squirrel. Yeah,
so they literally took his squirrel pet and euthanized it. Definitely a top
Not
priority.
just a squirrel pet, a celebrity squirrel.
Yeah, he was an Instagram squirrel. He was beloved. And then those bastards in the NYPD or whoever.
Because he didn't have the right license for a squirrel?
Yeah. They confiscated his squirrel and I believe his raccoon, and they killed them. And TMZ was doing like a live interview with the owners, and TMZ broke the news to them and to the owners and the world. They're like, we've just received a message that Peanut has been euthanized. And everybody starts crying, and it's like, fuck, don't they have anything better to do?
You shouldn't need a license for a squirrel. Like they're all over the place. It's like needing a license for a duck. Like they're just
couldn't happen here in Missouri, the great state of no animal licensing. you just do whatever you want. Yeah, did you see the video
here either?
Fucking Percy was duck marching him down the corridor. He said, "There's a dead man walking here."
They stomped him to death. That's how they do it in New York. That's how they do the dogs too. That's the only way of legal euthanization in the state of New York. It's stomping. It's not. It's called booting, but
absolutely despicable.
Yeah, I the third time I watched, I cried.
Oh yeah, dude, but that is ridiculous.
That is well. I'm kind of on their side though. Look, I think there's good reasons for preventing squirrel ownership.
With the squirrel stompers?
You're with the squirrel murderers?
I'm with the squirrel murderers a little bit, but I wish they hadn't killed the squirrel. But
how could you be on the side?
Because people can't own squirrels for a good reason. And I'm guessing it's because of disease. I bet you squirrels are carriers of fucking bubonic plague or some shit. And we don't want everyone to think that squirrel, and he's on TikTok promoting it. That's the other thing. This isn't some random squirrel in a house. He's making it seem cool to own a squirrel on TikTok. And people, I'm sure, are going out buying squirrels that probably, again, spread weird diseases, and they're keeping them in their houses, and it's not good. They're biting kids, spreading diseases, and on top of all that,
what's
biting the kids,
with squirrels?
spreading
you
the
can
diseases.
keep mice, gerbils, hamsters, rats.
You can't.
Yes, you can. You can get all of them at PetSmart.
Not in the great state of Georgia. You cannot. I had a hedgehog, and I knew that I told my girlfriend, I was like, "Look, that hedgehog is contraband, and my status with the law is tenuous at best. So if that hedgehog ever gets sick, you gotta be careful because the vet might turn you in for having an illegal hedgehog, and they'll confiscate little fella." And but what we didn't do was mention on here, for example, that I own an illegal hedgehog, because somebody would have been like, "Kyle's got an illegal hedgehog," and my probation officer would be like, "You don't have a hedgehog here by any chance, do you?" And then he'd have been like, Peanut the hedgehog getting euthanized by the state of Georgia.
You're allowed to have a rat in Georgia.
Not a hedgehog, though.
You're hiding a hedgehog in the floor,
I didn't look that
up. In the cupboard, perhaps?
In the cupboard?
That was the worst pet ever. It's just a little pokey rat that bites you, and it's filthy. You got to clean it all the time.
Well, maybe the hedgehog being illegal was to save people the trouble of realizing they're not good pets. I don't know.
Yeah, they're pretty cheap, though.
The idea that you can't have a little squirrel, that's ridiculous. Absurd. You can't go to the pet store and buy a squirrel. So, like, everyone who has a pet squirrel had to go catch it. It would be so difficult to catch a squirrel without killing it.
Georgia lets you have
rats,
for a normal
mice,
urban
armadillos, coyotes, groundhogs, beavers, freshwater turtles, venomous snakes, frogs, spring lizards, fiddler crabs, freshwater crayfish, and freshwater mussels and nutria. I don't know what that is.
So a rat.
It's
a big rodent.
You can have a lot of stuff. I don't know why you can't have a squirrel.
You should start a little crawdad.
They spread disease. They spread disease. There's definitely some sort of disease thing that squirrels do.
Rats spread disease?
Yeah.
I don't think that's true. I think that's an old wives' tale. The fleas were spreading the disease. The rats were carriers for the fleas. It's not their fault. They get a bad rap.
No, it was the rat's fault too.
That's Big Cheese getting to you to hate on the rats.
No, I feel like the rats and Big Cheese would be very diametrically opposed to the lobbies.
No, seriously though, I thought it was fucked up they killed those people's goddamn squirrel. I also remember that story where they confiscated this little girl's like goat a while back. Remember this story?
Oh yeah,
They
did she get like
confiscated
$250,000 for it or something?
$300,000. They took this girl's pet goat, killed it, and then they had to pay. Like the police came and took it at gunpoint, and I can't remember why, but it was like we're taking the goat, and they took the goat, killed the goat, and she won $300,000 in some sort of judgment. And I remember that story and thinking like, Jesus, these people in law enforcement, when you get called to a call like that, where they're like, we want the goat, no questions asked. Like, how do you not go, dude, I'm not going to make that little girl give me the goat. No.
Yeah, it was a
Little
prize
girl,
winning
is that
goat.
your goat? Yes. All right. That's all I needed to hear.
Yeah, that's fucked up. That poor little girl. I'm glad she got a bunch of money for her goat
Yeah, it's
being
fucked up.
executed.
I always feel bad.
I wonder
for
how
those,
she
like,
feels about it. Like I was gonna sell it for 1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I got 300 grand.
That I hated that goat. Just
He bit.
That goat was just a phase. I was 11 when I kept it. Now I'm 14 and I like boys. Yeah.
Yeah.
she's
Now
like
I got a
talking to her
Lamborghini and
covered
free
in
college.
band-aids. Just being
I hope
snipped
she
at.
blew the money. I hope she did something fucking cool with it, like the dude, like
Yeah,
our
like what a-
patron buddy.
Well,